Hey everybody, welcome back to another Ishan S Show Daily. Happy New Hampshire Primary Eve. We've been working so hard to finally get to this moment. The candidates have been campaigning nonstop for the past 11 months, while we here in the media have been covering this tirelessly, talking about each of the candidates. And as I say this, I mean, I really mean it. Everything has now come down to this very moment that we are in. Tomorrow is what these past 11 months have been for. All this coverage of the 2024 election, all that we've done so far, it comes down to tomorrow. And depending on how tomorrow turns out, we could either be entering the next phase of this election, or we might be dragging out and beating the same dead horse. But I'm so excited for tomorrow. If you want to get more information about the primary or about coverage and results, you can stay here on YouTube tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the Ishan S Show's live stream of the live coverage of the results coming out of the New Hampshire primary, or you can follow us on Instagram to get some updates from time to time about the state of the race. Or you can go to the ishansshow.com where I'll be doing some live blogging as well. Now, you saw all of it with the Iowa caucuses, so I'm looking forward to covering this election tomorrow. But tomorrow's election really matters, not necessarily for anybody but a person named Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has been working really hard in New Hampshire. And I mean, I've been watching politics for years, and the amount of effort I've seen somebody put into a single state has not been matched in a long time since I've seen, I mean, maybe in 2016 when Trump was really focusing on the Rust Belt. I have not seen a candidate focus this much effort. Oh, and then Ron DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis is no longer in this race, so I guess it kind of doesn't matter. But Nikki Haley has put in a lot of effort in New Hampshire. So ultimately, of any person, tomorrow the most important day. Tomorrow is the most important day for one person in this country, and that's Nikki Haley, because everything comes to tomorrow. If she does well tomorrow, that sets her up. That sets up her campaign for at least another few weeks, maybe even longer. I mean, I might be eating my words in a few months, who knows? But if tomorrow doesn't go well, or if tomorrow goes poorly, then it's game over for Nikki Haley. I mean, then it'll be time for her to drop out. The same way Ron DeSantis dropped out on Sunday, Nikki Haley, I think, will drop out if tomorrow does not go well. Now, there are two trains of thought that are going with this right now. First, it's the idea that Nikki Haley is trying to capture all the independent voters in New Hampshire. She's trying to get as many people as she can, independent moderates, undeclared, as they like to call themselves in New Hampshire, and, registered Republicans who may not be for Trump. She's trying to turn out all of those people. But the problem is that it's just that type of coalition that's really hard, because you have to make sure you can get every single group to be interested in you and then get them enthusiastic enough to turn out. The best thing about, being a Republican politician in this day and age, and the MAGA politician, is that your base is so homogenous. So if you can appeal to one person to turn out, chances are you are appealing to a large swath of people to turn out. The problem with Nikki Haley's approach to this is she's trying to build a coalition. And building a coalition, while noble and brings in a lot more interests, is very difficult to actually compel to people to turn out. And this is the challenge she is now facing. We got a poll today that basically showed her at 52% to Trump's 34%. And I'm guessing this 52% is coming from Vivek Ramaswamy dropping out and, Ron DeSantis dropping out in the last few days. Combined, they had about 10%. So you might remember from my Nikki Haley is surging video from a few weeks ago how times have changed. You might have seen that Trump was at around 40% and Nikki Haley was at around 35%. Nikki Haley jumped up to nowhere. She's at 34% in this poll, whereas Trump has gone to 52%. And I think that is the support transferring over, because Nikki Haley is benefiting from a 10% boost of her own, which is from Chris Christie, because he also did drop out of the race, and him dropping out of the race did give her a bump in New Hampshire. The point, though, is Nikki Haley has been working really hard to try to convince people that this is a two-person race. After the Iowa caucuses, she was telling everybody that this is a two-person race, literally just ignoring the fact that Ron DeSantis was in the election, at least for a few more days. But then Sunday, which was yesterday, she got the news that she really wanted, which was that Ron DeSantis is no longer in this race, and therefore it is now a two-person race between her and former President Donald Trump. What matters in this is that she got what she'd been working so hard for. It's just, does it matter? Does it support her? Does it help her? And it's looking like it's not really actually helping her, because it's helped Donald Trump grow his lead. I mean, if we look at the 538 polling averages, both candidates, Trump and Haley, are at their highest point in this entire campaign that they have been polling at. Nikki Haley has obviously had the biggest growth in this state, but Trump has, managed to grow his support more than he ever has before. And I think that shows for something, that counts for something, because this type of growth that we are seeing from Trump is talking to the point of that support shifting around and actually then going to him, from Ramaswamy, who endorsed him, from Ron DeSantis, who immediately endorsed him. A lot of DeSantis voters are not going to Nikki Haley. They're going to go to Donald Trump, because Ron DeSantis, the issue with Ron DeSantis' campaign is that he didn't have a lane. He didn't have an identity in this race. He was just MAGA light. Like, Trump was already the MAGA. So we didn't need an additional person. And he learned that the hard way. And so that's why he dropped out. Nikki Haley, the benefit to her is that she is trying to market herself as the not Trump candidate now. It may have not been the plan initially, and she may have been touting a lot of her foreign policy experience that she gained as a result of being Trump administration alumni. But now she is trying to market herself as the anti-Trump candidate. And in the past few days, attacks have intensified. Donald Trump has been making those increasingly, racist remarks against Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has been questioning his mental competency, saying that he's 80 years old. So it's getting intense. And now they're trying to draw that division. Trump has clearly made it a MAGA and anti-MAGA race, while Nikki Haley, she's tried actually to play this a little smart. I think it's a smart approach, not flawlessly executed though, which is her goal, her intention, and her attempt is to kind of make this about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. She's trying to levy the same attacks on both. Kind of a general election strategy that could be effective, but she's not in a general election, and she's losing by like double-digit points to the front runner in the GOP. But her idea is attack Trump and Biden on age, attack Trump and Biden on spending, attack Trump and Biden on investigations, attack Trump and Biden on controversy. So that's her goal, but the I don't think it's resonating enough. And if we are looking just at New Hampshire, only 35% of people, 36% even, are actually showing up to say they support her. This poll that we're getting from Insider Advantage, 62%, 57% from Suffolk University, Trafalgar, 58%. Granted, it's a more Republican, Trump-leaning pollster, but those numbers are showing a story, and that story is that Nikki Haley may not be able to carry this. And the way it's going, the way the expectations are setting, the only way I see her continuing is if she decides that she's confident enough to believe that she can take this into South Carolina. But in South Carolina, if we were to look over here, as they talk about here, Trump leads Haley 61% to 25% in South Carolina, her home state. And what I say all the time in these types of elections is you have to leave before you lose your home state. If you lose your home state, it is embarrassing for a political career to lose a home state. It's why Kamala Harris dropped out of the 2020 election, and it's why it's why a lot of others, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren dropped out of the 2020 Democratic nomination as well. It's why Marco Rubio dropped out of after the Florida primary, because there's a certain embarrassment that comes with losing your home state. It's a loss of credibility. And I think what Nikki Haley might be thinking, because she sees the same numbers that I do and that you do, and the numbers don't lie. She is losing big in South Carolina. So the only way I see her continuing this is if she can somehow eke out a first place victory in New Hampshire somehow. The numbers are not proving that, although the numbers have been disproven before, so we'll give her a pass for that. But the point is, the path forward that I see for her lies in her somehow being able to win in New Hampshire, beat Donald Trump, not a second place finish, but beat Donald Trump, and then try to convert that into some sort of momentum and take her into South Carolina. Like I said in my video from last week, the primary calendar ends in South Carolina for this year. After South Carolina, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what goes forward. Because if you cannot win in South Carolina, if you cannot win in Iowa, if you're not even on the ballot in Nevada, and you can't win in New Hampshire, where every dollar has been spent, there is no path for you to the nomination, unfortunately, for Nikki Haley supporters. And, the Ron DeSantis supporters had to take down that hard pill that because of the same reason. Ron DeSantis just put all his efforts into Iowa. And Ron DeSantis may not be a talented campaigner. He isn't. He also is not a very skilled politician in some sense on the maybe he's good in Florida, but on the national scene, he is a very untalented politician. Nikki Haley, on the other hand, she is a smart and talented politician on the national stage. It's why she is able to bring this within 10 points. Ron DeSantis could not even bring it within 15 in Iowa. But the writing is on the wall. And it's not Nikki Haley's time. And it wasn't Ron DeSantis' time. And it wasn't anyone else's time. Trump effectively controls this nomination system and this nomination process. It's just the way the support base works. And tomorrow, I'll be covering this election. And I'm getting this feeling that we're going to call this race pretty soon into the night, the same way we called the Iowa caucuses at 7:30, 30 minutes in. First time in a long time, first time ever, honestly, that we've done that. Not we, when I say we, I mean in the media. But I think tomorrow I'm getting a feeling that we might call that race pretty quickly. And if we call that race pretty quickly, then, I don't even know if I'll continue that live stream. I might just turn it off and say, Nikki Haley, time to go. But maybe I'll keep updating the numbers just to see what the second place finish actually is, because what Nikki Haley's campaign is starting to do is they're trying to shift the narrative now. Now they're trying to own the narrative, and they're trying to say, oh, okay, but you know what? Second place isn't that big of a deal. It may be actually the goal is to get a good, first place isn't that big of a deal in New Hampshire. The goal is to get second place, a good commanding second place, do better than what we did in Iowa. That's what Nikki Haley was saying at a town hall an interview on Sunday. And New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, who does have a big name in this state and endorsed Nikki Haley and is one of her top surrogates, he was on CNN and he was basically saying that she doesn't have to win in New Hampshire. She doesn't have to win in South Carolina. And Anderson Cooper was asking Governor Sununu, rightfully so, okay, if she cannot win in this state, or this state, then how is she supposed to win on Super Tuesday? It's just not going to make sense. It doesn't make sense, really. It's just plain and simple. There isn't a path. So you might have seen the thumbnail for this video and asked, can Nikki Haley win? My answer is probably not, unfortunately for her. But of course, we don't, make any conclusions until the very last vote is counted. And we'll be covering all of this. So that is what we have for today. Nikki Haley, as her presidential campaign is, I think, in its last few hours. So we'll be watching to see when she might drop out. If she does, if she feels confident enough to go to South Carolina, we'll continue to cover her campaign there. But that does it for us here at the Ishan S Show. So Thank you so much for watching today. Subscribe to the Ishan S Show. Check out the ishansshow.com. Subscribe to the Political News Vlog. Check out some videos that you might like. Follow on social media and continue to support the way you have been. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you for the New Hampshire primary tomorrow. Bye-bye.